Yo, what's up? This is Jake. In this video, we're going to be talking about common playstyle mistakes and how to fix them. We're going to be talking about aggressive players and the playstyle they have with the common issues that they struggle with and how to fix that. And then we're also going to be talking about passive players with their more reserved playstyle and how to make them a bit more involved and more balanced players. Before I get into the video, I want to quickly mention that I've just released an extensive Rocket League course for ranking up. If you're not sure what you need to do to improve, or you just love Rocket League and enjoy getting better at the game, then the course is for you, and I'll talk more about it at the end of the video. The two general ways players in Rocket League will play, especially around the champ range, is either too passive or too aggressive. What you want to learn is if you're too aggressive, you want to learn to dial that back a bit and be more balanced. And then same thing with the passive players. They want to learn to be a bit more involved and be more useful. So when it comes to aggressive players, the most important thing you need to learn how to do is to just let your teammate be useful and to avoid double commits. So the main way you'll do this is just spacing out from your teammates and letting your teammate go for the ball. So the one thing in particular you want to look out for in the champ range is turning on the ball when your teammate can just go straight for it. So to watch roster here, here's an example. It's basically roster, so the ball's going this way and roster's like underneath the ball going this way as well, right? So roster can turn on this ball if he wanted to, and that's generally the mindset of aggressive players. They're like, I can do something, so I will. But it's a lot easier in this situation just to back out and let this teammate who's like over here, it's not the best circle, but let your teammate who's behind you have the freedom to come in and do what he wants, right? So if you're an aggressive player, this will look very familiar, but roster tries to like pass to his teammate or just try and do something, and then his teammate comes in and double commits with him as well, and it's just really messy. So it's bad because your teammate will feel not confident to push up and be useful, or like in this case, you can see he might even go, and then double commits can lead to counterattacks quite a lot. They were pretty lucky here not to get counterattacked, but in general, that's what turning on the ball leads to a lot. It really just leads to like double commits, your teammate feeling awkward. So you really want to avoid turning on the ball like roster does here. So you can see like base booster, he wants to go, he's ready to go. He's not expecting roster to go. It would be a lot easier for him if roster just kind of like went out, but roster turns on the ball and it makes things very hard. So that's when it comes to turning. You really just want to like especially when you're in front of the ball and rotating back, just relax a bit more. Don't feel the need to turn as much, and that'll really help allow your teammate to get more involved. So to show one more example about how turning, even when it does work, it's not really the best, is we have base booster and roster kind of like both driving back here, right? So roster's here and base booster's here, and roster's going to want to turn. But again, like we just talked about, the problems with turning is if base booster also goes in, it's just you're asking to get counterattacked, and also just the fact that roster likes to turn makes base booster really uncomfortable to go in. So if we keep watching this, we'll see it actually works out fine. It's not the end of the world, but you could see how if roster just rotated out, the same kind of thing would have happened. So if roster just rotated out here, it could have been base booster who was the one to go here instead of roster. And again, it's a lot easier of a way to play. It doesn't risk the double commit, and it allows your teammate to get involved more and to not feel so nervous about getting involved when you have that aggressive tendency to turn all the time. So another problem that most aggressive players have in their playstyle is they don't let their teammates do the job that they can do. So what I mean by that is basically this guy can pretty much hit any ball in that zone, right? It's kind of like zone positioning. So if we think about where the green car should go, he should probably just back off into a third man position and be ready in case the ball goes over that guy's head, right? So again, it's the basic idea of zone positioning, of just cover different stuff that your teammate doesn't have covered, right? But what the green card does, and what a lot of aggressive players will do without really realizing, is he puts himself in a position so that he is ready for any ball that this guy could go for, right? So the big downside of this is if the ball goes over them, they're screwed, right? So that's why you want to avoid this stuff. And the way to avoid it is to just look more at your teammates and then space out around them. So that's a big, that's like a really big common problem of aggressive players, is they won't let their teammates do what they obviously can do. So it's about spacing out from your teammates and just being ready for things they're not ready for. So the main problem when it comes to passive players is they're normally too far away. That's the big thing. So what happens with passive players is they're so far away that when it is their chance to go in and score, they're not quick enough. Or when it's just their chance to maybe like make a challenge, they can't because they're too far away. And what being this far away also does to them is it means that their like more aggressive teammates will see they're far away and just go, okay, I'm going. So then it ends up that passive players just don't go for the ball much, and that's not very good. So to show you some examples, so Roboscott here is shadowing, and this would be fine, but then he drives too far away. So you can see he flips, and now there's a big distance between him and the guy on the ball. So it means he really can't do much if this dude hits it, and then this guy decides to go. So with this big distance he's created, he's kind of just conceding that he's not going for the ball. And again, this is what happens with a lot of passive players. They don't really want to do anything, so they just go really far back, and they only really go in if they have to. So you can see what happens. Like that ball here, this should have been at least contested, right? But he just gives the other team just a completely free hit because he's just too far away. That's the big problem with passive players. So we can watch this play develop here. So the same thing happens in attack, where players, especially passive players, they're just too far back. So if you're too far back, you're not going to be able to score opportunities that are given to you, and you're also not going to be able to go for a lot of balls you probably could go for if you're a bit closer. So a lot of passive players are a bit too defensively minded and go way further back than is needed, and they need to start to learn to be a bit closer so they can get a bit more involved. So we can see Roboscott, like, he has 40 boost here. It's more than enough to like be pushed up and ready for a pass if a pass were to come, or just to be close in case to just follow up for a 50 or something. But you can see he's not interested. He's like, I'm just gonna stay back here, and we can see like the distance is just too big. He can't do anything with this massive distance, right? Like I and other aggressive players would literally be like here, like here, because if the ball comes down there, they'd be able to score. Or like if he thinks he's passing, you can like get there pretty quick. And from this close position as well, you can still defend most things. So if the ball goes like this way, you can turn that way. Or if it goes that way, you can turn that way. You have to be a little bit careful about the ball going over your head, but most of the time it's not actually the end of the world if the ball goes over your head. But like passive players in general are just far too scared of that, so they're really far back. You can see like Scott isn't even on the screen. So that's the main problem when it comes to passive players, is they're not keen enough to get involved, and they just sit too far back and just kind of wait for the moment they have to do something, and it just leads to them being a bit useless and not able to like score any goals or anything. So to expand more on the passive players' problem of distance, another issue that can arise is when players get too close too quickly and then feel uncomfortable and then turn around. So this is the main like side effect of players trying to play closer, but it's also a massive problem for just a lot of people in general. So to show you what I mean, Zach's gonna push up here so you can see he's trying to play more aggressive, he's trying to be closer, right? But then someone goes for the ball and he's like, oh no, I better turn around. And then the problem we can see is he's turning backwards, right? And this is even worse than being further, like far back, because turning around is really slow. So this problem is, again, it's more of a passive player problem, and it's to do with he's just too close for what he needs to be doing, right? So he tried to push up too fast, realized, oh, I shouldn't be here, and then he had to turn around. But in general, you should always be pointing your car like where you're about to go, or where you think the ball's about to go, right? And again, you want to avoid like these 180 turns. So this is a big problem with people. It's the side effect of trying to play too aggressively if you are sitting far back, or a lot of people just have this problem in general where they just get closer than they should be, and then right at the last second they turn around and it doesn't work, and it makes you too slow, and it's a really important playstyle problem to fix. So to recap what we've talked about, if you're more of an aggressive player with an aggressive playstyle, you want to be careful about turning too much on the ball and really let your teammate rotate in from behind you. And you also want to be careful about not doing the same job they are and spacing out your positioning to cover more of the field as a team. If you're a passive player, you want to really focus on being a lot closer to the play and just getting more involved. And you also want to be careful about that turning problem of turning at the last second and being backwards for everything. So, if you've liked the video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to take an extra step to getting better at Rocket League, I've just released a 6-week video course for exactly how to get better at Rocket League. Each week goes through exactly what you want to improve on and in what order. And I've tested this out with a lot of students and it works really well. You'll also get added to a Discord server where you can talk to me to ask me any questions, or just network with other people who are in the course. So if you like the idea of that, go check the link in the description and check it more out. And thank you for watching.